Hi everyone, Darren Carnell here. Welcome to the next in the series of painting the man with no name. This is part 14 maybe? I don't know. Welcome to this part. I think it's 14. It's something like 14. So we're making progress, we're doing well. I'll get straight into it. Got a load of reference pictures up on the screen. I've downloaded some more since the last one, so I've got some more material to work from. Just different angles, different shots, a couple of clearer pictures. So we might as well, just taking the lids off things while I'm talking to you. I'll check everything's running, music is on, counter is going up, so it's recording. The volume is going up and down, so I know that this thing's working. Sorry, shouldn't do that. Let's get into it. So, Man with No Name, Patreon exclusive tutorial series, not to be seen anywhere else except here. Okay, so let's go bink. Move that across a little bit. Let's put me in the corner. Okay. Let me just quickly grab my webcam settings panel, and I want to check. So camera 2, which is my looking down camera, is zoomed in a little bit, which is what we wanted. The focus, yeah, the focus is set to about here, which is right. Cool. Let us get on with things. So basically just doing more of the same. So I want to open up, because I know I will be using them, some tan flesh, the deep red, ow, 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 just stuck my nail in my knuckle. Look at all the paint on my hand. Deep red, bright red, we'll be using the leather brown, we'll be using other colours, blues and stuff, but for now that'll do. Maybe umber. Let's get that out. Oh my god, I've drawn blood. Ow, I can't work anymore. Okay, let's get on with this. Whoa, excuse me. Oh, kitchen roll. Oh. Just me to put it out of reach when I need it. Okay. Now it definitely looks paler on the camera than it looks in my hand. I'm looking at it and it doesn't look anything like what it looks like on my screen. If it looks like that in the final video, then trust me when I say it looks a little bit darker than that, but we'll see how it looks like when we get to the end and I take photos of it, because then you'll see it properly. But for now, I want to, let's just do some quick rough and ready work. Let's grab a rubbish old brush and let's see, deep red, thinned right down, bit of thinner, bit of water. Let's get that excess paint off the brush. I'm going to keep that brush there because I'll be using that in a sec. So this is just, that's still quite thick. So I just want to get some of that red under in the corners. Let's make that a bit thinner. A bit more paint thinner on there. So I'm just doing some random things that I know I want to do with this colour that I can do quickly. And then we can move on to some other colours. Do some up here. So just doing some different things, colour in the corners, colour on the side of the nose, going down to the cheeks. Let's get some water because that's a bit thick there. There you go, that's better. There's no real pattern to this other than looking at images and looking at what's in front of me and just thinking, what do I think it needs? And sometimes it's just adding a bit of extra colour, preliminary colour in the lips, just slowly build them up. Slowly start to build up some more colour up here, just because it looks like it could need it. Let's get a bit on the front of the nose. Let's take that a bit further up the nose. Make a bit of a triangle at the front there. Itchy nose. I'm going to take some of this watered down stuff and add it to the back of his ears and a little bit to the front. Back of his ears, a little bit to the front. A little bit to the back. Let's water it down loads, and then we can stick some in there. I've not been paying attention to the camera. I hope I've been doing everything in view, because I've not been paying attention. I'm sort of in the painting zone. Highway to the painting zone. Do, 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 do. I'm tired. I go weird when I'm tired. Okay. So I'm just adding bits and pieces, building it up. And because he's quite red, because he's, you know, in the sun and sunburnt and looking hot because of the fact that he's in the sun, a lot of this, what I'm doing at the moment, is just building up reds. And not even started on the, you know, the stubble or anything like that. Just going to bring one of the other images across so I can have a look at it. So I'm going to get that same colour that I was using and just mix a little bit of bright red in with it and water it right down, get most of it off the brush, and I want to bring some of it in here so there's not as much pale colour. There still has to be, but just not as much. I just want to bring some more colour in there. Bit of colour between the, in that little fold there. Let's get a little bit in that fold there. Same on the other eye. Let's get some right on the edge of the eyelid. Now that's probably going to be gone over anyway because we'll be painting the eyes and the other, there'll be more colours around the eyeball, but for now that'll do just to get something on there. Put a bit of a colour on the fold there. Take some more of that slightly lighter red and do it more around the ear. Get a little bit of leather brown and mix it in with that same colour, make it even more watered down. And just add a little bit around the lips. Ooh, loud music. I'm so sorry if you've not been able to hear anything. I've basically just been mumbling about the colours that I'm using and why I'm using them. And it hasn't been much, to be honest. I've just sort of been doing stuff. So if that music was too loud and I couldn't tell because I'm sort of focusing on this thing, then I apologise if that was too loud. It is now turned down. Okay, so I'm just looking at some other pictures where you can see them from different angles and seeing what needs to go under there. Now he does look quite pale on that, under those fluorescent lights. Let me bring in a different head. There you go. That shows the colour. So that's a David Tennant head, and that is, oh, excuse me, that is this one. So you can see the difference in, it is all suntanned and everything. There's a Tom Baker. Yeah, so when he's got his eyes and his eyebrows and beard and cigar and his hair and everything, that's okay. We're not done with the skin. We're not done by a long stretch, but we're getting towards the colour that we want. Just doing some random things. Okay, I think I'm going to do some bristle flicking, and I think I want to do it with quite a bright red but with a bit of brown in it. So let's take some of that red. Let's take some leather or chocolate. Leather for now. So in here, bright red and some leather brown. Let's get a little bit more brown in there. Let's thin it right down, right down, right down, right down. Chuck a load of water in there because I need it thin. Let's see if this works on this brush. I was going to get a different brush, but if this brush works, might as well do it with this. Okay, it looks like it might be working. Let's see. So I'm going to flick, 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 flick. And what I'm going to do them on this side, and then I will see if I can bring the focus of the camera really up close and see if it's possible, because the problem is I need space to actually have my hand in front of it, but I want to see if it's possible to capture the flicked paint, because I know you can't really see much. Doesn't help that I'm doing it off the camera. I know you can't really see much because it's such a subtle effect that I'm doing that most of it you just can't see. But let me grab the camera settings, and we want to move the focus. Where are we? See, basically, if I can see these little red dots. That's what we've just been doing. And there's some here. And there's a few there. And they're not on that side. What's on this side is just sort of the dabbing work that I did. So let me get some more paint on, flick the excess off. Let's see if I can do this, because it's going to be weird, because I've got to be looking at the screen to make sure it's there, to make sure it's in focus, because it's a very close area, and be able to do it, which is sort of difficult because my hand needs to be there. So that's that thing. I'm just sort of slowly allowing the bristles to flick. I'm not doing it yet, but I'm just showing you. Slowly allow the bristles to flick like that. Where's the focus? There. But doing it hard enough to flick some. So where's the face? Let's get the face in focus. Okay. Right, I will see if I can do this. Let's do some down here. Then when you get something a little bit too strong, like that one on the nose, while it's wet, you can just go dab, and it just softens them up. Let's try and, see there's one that I missed there that's dried, but that's okay, just paint over it, or it'll probably still be wet enough to just wet it with a brush. So let me have a brief look. Just do a little bit more, maybe try and put some on the side of his nose. And on the other side. Do some more on the cheeks. So you can see one that went on too hard there and dried, but the rest of all these quite subtle, and especially when you get them up here like this, when you do that and you can sort of see a few there, and there's a few there, and there's a few on the side of the nose. When you do that and then you do some in a few different colours and a few different shades. Hang on, get the focus back. When you do that, a few different colours and a few different shades, so different shades of red, maybe some leather brown sort of colour, a bit like that, maybe a bit of purple, maybe a bit of blue-grey, maybe a bit of pale flesh, different kinds of colours depending on what you think the mixture of markings on that particular character would be. And when you do that, it just adds a depth to the skin that, now in this case there's quite a lot of sculpted detail on the face anyway. So in this case we're just Look like I've cut my finger open. In this case, we're just adding to that and bringing that sculpt to life. But in some cases, you'll be painting things that have got quite bland, quite boring sculpts. So in that case, you'll be adding the detail. And bringing a sculpt that would otherwise look very dead and very artificial, bringing that to life and making that look more alive and more real. I mean, it's not just that flicking that does it. That's, you're watching the videos, you know, it's one of many things that I do, that you can do. One of many techniques, one of many tricks, if you want to call it that. But it's a thing that I never used to do, even up until quite recently, up until, I don't know, a year or two ago. The quality of my painting sort of jumped quite a lot. So adding stuff like that with everything else really makes a big difference. So let's see if I can fix that one that went on too dark. Bit of water on a brush, give it a scrub. Oh, it's thinned right down, and I've just seen another one on top of the Adam's apple. So again, bit of water, thin it down, give it a scrub, and most of the paint comes off. Okay, so I'm going to do the same, but with some brown. Let's put that in there. Let's get some leather brown. So that was that reddish colour that we just done them with. So here I've just got some leather brown. Chuck in a load of thinner. Chuck in a load of water, because I want these to be subtle. So very thin. Let's do them with a different brush. I mean, that last brush actually worked really well. So I'll do it with this brush this time. Now there's not that much paint here because I don't really want to do that many. I'm just going to do it at the normal height because I can see what I'm doing better and can control it better than when it's right under the camera, which is great for you guys, and I know you can see more, but it's actually quite difficult for me to paint when it's up there. So I'm just adding in some very subtle, very faint, very watered down flecks to the skin. I mean, really tiny details. These would almost be like, you know, pores on the skin or something. It's just adding some life to it, but not necessarily what you can obviously see. They don't stand out. Let's do a few more on the head because that's going to be under shadow, so I don't mind darkening that bit. In fact, while I've got this colour, you know what? Let's blob someone off the tip of my finger. Why not? Because I can just see a bit where I thought, you know what, that'd be a good random colour there. We just dirty it on with my finger. There you go. Why not? There's no rules. No one can say, oh, you can't do that, that's not the way you do it. Well, I'm painting it, so it is the way I do it. You will always get people who say that you shouldn't do a thing a certain way. Well, bugger them. You do whatever works for you. Now here I'm just doing a bit of colour right up in the edges. It's the same faint brown colour. I'm just doing some right up in the edges and then dragging down with my finger just to fade it away, just to create a bit of a shadow colour, shadow edge or something. Let's do the same up there. Let's get the edge of where the hair would be and then just fade it away, because it's going up under the hat. There's going to be under shadow anyway, so just exaggerate that and help bring it along, so when it's under there it'll look good. I'm just holding this off camera, sorry, so I can see it under different light. Okay, so I'm going to get that same brown, very pale watered down stuff and get most of it off the brush. I just want a tiny amount. And I just want to add some under the eyes. I just want to add some to the end of the nose maybe. Let's do some to the bottom of the cheeks. This is very subtle colour because there's almost nothing on the brush here. Side of the nose, bottom of the cheeks going into there. Let's get a bit more colour, get most of it off, and let's see. Let's do some of it under there, sort of at the edge of where the stubble is going to be. I'm assuming his stubble will go down onto his neck anyway. Hasn't been carved, hasn't been sculpted on, but most people's stubble sort of comes down towards, I mean, my Adam's apple is hidden way under this thing, but so Adam's apple there, most people's stubble who have stubble, it actually comes, this has just sort of been sculpted up to that fold, and that's not where stubble comes down like this and up and around. So I will be bringing that down, even though there's going to be a thing across there like his necktie thing, but having stubble coming down onto his Adam's apple will make a big difference. Okay, now what I'm going to do quickly, because it's a thing that it's got to be done and it will help visualize how stuff should look. I'm just going to close all of these apart from the umber. I'm going to put a layer of hair down, so if I just might as well use this brush while I've got it. Get some umber, chuck a couple of blobs on there, get some thinner, thin it down a bit. I'm going to use this brush that's already in my hand just because it's already in my hand. I will go in with a more detailed brush when I'm doing the finer edges, but for now I just want to get a thin layer of colour down. And we will go in and and finesse it later. His hair sort of goes down. It looks slightly different in different scenes and in the different films, but it mostly goes down to about there and then becomes the beard. Whoops, sorry, not holding it in front of the camera. It goes down to about there and then becomes the beard. And because this is just a preliminary layer, I just want to get some colour down so we can start to see how things look. I'm not going to bother about the detail of that. We'll deal with that when we're doing it, but for now, just getting some colour down. I will go around the edges of the hairline and stuff. I'll grab a different brush and do that in a sec. I just don't want to risk it with this brush, because if I paint on the face, then I've either got to try and undo it before the paint dries, which can be done. I've painted right across the front of. I've been almost finished with the thing, and I was painting the hair, and I went right across the front. I think that was on one of my videos. It might have been on one of the Chris Pine Captain Kirk ones. And basically, what you do then is you panic. You say shit, 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 shit quite a lot, and then you grab a brush full of water and you go in and try and clean it all off, which in this case I did, and everything was fine. So if you don't get to something quick enough, you can wreck it. Even then, it's not the end of the world. It just means you're going to have to do some repainting, but you haven't ruined anything. You only ruined it if you sort of drop it on the floor and it smashes into a million pieces and you can't do anything about it. So don't do that. But in terms of just colours and stuff, you can fix anything. It just might be a bit of a hassle. So for now, for this, I will use a smaller brush at the edges. I'll just try and be as careful as I can with this. You always get tempted to go closer and closer and closer to the edges with the brush you've got, and sometimes it's just not a good idea. Okay, that'll do for now with that brush. So let me grab a smaller but not super duper small brush. Now I don't want to take it massively up to the edge, because we'll be doing that with washes and more detailed brushes, but I just want to do it a bit more, especially on the bits that are blended. So these bits are just going to be blended in and sort of slowly vanish, because they are basically tiny hairs coming out. So that will be blended into the skin colour, and then we'll have individual hairs painted on. But areas like this bit where there is a hard edge, because it's a sculpted solid area of hair, those bits you can do in detail. I mean, this isn't the best brush, to be honest, because it's not the most straight pointed brush. Straight pointed? Yeah, that'll do. It's quite an old curly tipped brush, and it's not the best for doing detail work, but it's close enough for most of it, and I'll just be careful, like when you're doing bits like that. And even if you get them wrong, you can fix them. And these bottom edges are, what I will do is when I'm finishing off, I will go in and sort of with different colours add blending and make individual points, sort of paint individual hairs on, maybe make it look a bit messy in parts by adding bits or taking the skin further up or bringing the hair further down. But there is a largely sculpted edge, so for now I can just paint up to it. Just realise that's not in focus for you, is it? There's the focus. See, I'm holding it close up because I'm working to it, and I've just realised that's making it out of focus. Just trying to turn it around. Where is the focus on that? Okay. Okay, sorry for being quiet there, I was just sort of painting. Couldn't really think of anything to say, and once you sort of start doing things like working your way around an edge, not the most inspiring thing to make you come up with a ton of stuff to talk about. Especially after a busy day painting, when your brain is a little bit frazzled. Okay, so let's chuck that in there. So that's just the first layer. As always when I do hair, chuck down a layer. If it's brown hair, if it's dark brown hair, chuck down a layer of umber and we will work different layers on top of that. Most of it isn't going to be seen because it's going to have the hat on top, His clothes are going to come up to here. So you're going to see some of it, but a lot of it's going to be under shadow. Oh, excuse me. Do I have any coffee left? I have a little bit of coffee. Okay. Right, that is mostly it for that video, because I've basically just done more on the skin. But what I want to quickly do, well, I've still got this brush, and because I can, and it'll only take me a couple of minutes, it's not a big thing. I just want to chuck on some. Now what you have to do when you're doing stuff like that, see that I've got paint on me? It's very easy to forget about that, and it just dries on your fingers and you carry on working. But then if you're holding, I think especially if it's a piece that you're holding, you've got dry colour like that, or even there might be some wet stuff that you can't tell, it's very easy to think, oh, it's dry, you know, you don't even notice it. But that will, or can, transfer onto whatever it is that you're holding, especially if it's like a skin coloured thing, and it just makes it look dirty. So be aware of that. If you do something and you end up with that or colour on your fingertips where you've been doing a thing, that's fine, because that's on the back of my hand, all that stuff, that never touches it. But bits where you do touch it, be aware. And I would normally go out straight away and wash that off, but doing a video, so I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna get some blue grey, which is what I use on eyes and what I use on stubble. I'm going to mix it in with some of this reddy browny thing, make a purple-ish colour, chuck some thinner in that, get it quite thin. Let's see, and it might be even too thin. I just want to get some in that corner and around that corner of his eye, so under the eyelid, but also into the corner of his eye and up into the folds that go over there, but just a little bit. But mainly I just wanted to get a subtle blob of it. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'll stick some on the side of his nose, because why not? And it's just a little bit. I'm not making his nose blue or anything, but it can help break things up and make things just a little bit random. They can look like shadows. They can look like blood vessels. It can help in a number of ways. I'm going to do some. I mean, there's almost nothing on the brush here now, but that doesn't matter. The most minute bit of something painted, your brain will be able to pick up on it, because we know what people look like. And I'm going to do a bit just on the inside halves of the bottom eyelid that goes around the eyeball. I actually want to add a little bit of red to that, so I'm going to grab some of that original red colour. I mean, it's actually a reddy brown now, but that's fine, and do some around that edge. I mean, this is the messiest brush to be doing this with. It doesn't have to be neat this bit, not really. Just making the top edge of the bottom eyelid a little bit red. Let's take some more colour, because I want that to be a bit stronger on this one. There you go. You know what, while I've got that colour, let's chuck a bit more of that right in those corners under there. And while I've got it, seeing as I've just seen a bit that hasn't been painted. Now this really isn't the right brush for this bit because this is going up against the eyeball. Thankfully I haven't painted the eyeball yet, so we're still okay. I'm just going to get under that bottom edge and then do the same on this side, right up underneath to the bit that goes onto the eyeball, and dab that bit off there, dab that bit off there. See, we're starting to get some real colour on this thing now. Let's do a little bit of extra colour on the lips. In fact, let's do a bit of that bluish colour mixed with the red colour, because often lips are sort of a bit purple, and adding a bit of blue grey to the reddish colour makes it a bit purple. Also, quite often a good colour to go on the side of ears. Okay, now let's throw a bit of umber or chocolate. Umber or chocolate. Let's go with, let's put the blue away for now. And I just want to chuck a little bit of a thin brown wash. I've actually got some there already, but not washed down. Okay. Actually, that's probably thin enough. Right under the eye. And with that umber colour, let's get some shadow. Oh, too thick, go away, go away. Let's get some shadow right in that bottom corner, the fold between the eyelid and the eyebrow. Just get some darkness painted in there. I very almost sung the darkness song from Lego Batman there. It's probably a good thing that I didn't. With this thin dark wash, seeing as I've got it on the brush, I might as well just put a little bit on the eyebrows just to give us a start of the direction that I'll be going in. We will do the edges of that at another point because that's quite detailed. That can take quite some time because it's blending it down with a few different colours and then painting details, so that's quite a detailed thing. But for now that's okay. So I think the next one, I mean there's obviously more work that we can do all over the place, but what we'll probably do is, even though there's more work to go around the eyes, we'll probably chuck on the first coat of the eyeball colour, and that'll help us see where we are with overall tones and what relates to what else. And we might do some early work on the stubble and the beard, so we'll see how that plays out, because that might help. I think part of what's making him not look as much like him as he should is the fact that he's sort of clean shaven and his face looks a bit empty. and we know he shouldn't be. Might chuck some colour on the cigar as well, because that'll probably make a big difference. But we are getting there. Let's have another close-up focused look to see all the details that we did when we did all the flecks. So you've got the main colour, you've got dry brushing, you've got washes over it, you've got thin washes in particular areas, you've got a load of different colours washed on and dabbed about, you've got the colour flicking going on, adding random stuff. And when all of the other stuff, so the hair is all done and the stubble, when everything starts coming together, it's a thing that always frustrates me, especially when people ask for pictures of whatever commission I'm working on when I'm halfway through, because things always look terrible up until right near the end. And you can do all these layers and all these details and they still kind of don't look like anything, and then right at the end everything comes together. But at least you can see sort of what's happening. Let's look under there a little bit, so you can start to see some sort of bluey purple, where are we, shadows in the corners there. We've done some washes on the round part of the lower eyelid just to get some tired looking colours to his eyes. There's more to do there. Now it's going to be interesting trying to paint the stubble. It's always difficult and sort of a challenge to paint stubble when it's been sculpted on, especially if it's been sculpted in a way that I wouldn't necessarily, but we'll deal with it. You can see it's a lot of long straight lines and that's not how it looks, but the overall head sculpt, it's Clint Eastwood, you can tell who it is, so I will deal with that. And you know, part of my job to make things look the best that they can, and we are certainly getting there with him. So awesome stuff. Right, let me change back cameras because this is pretty much an hour now. Let's get that over there. Ow, 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 bright light. Hang on, I might need that light because it's getting dark out. I need another light. I need like a big LED panel in front of me or something. Okay, thanks for keeping me company, even though you'll be watching this in the future. Thanks for keeping me company. Ask me any questions that you've got about it. As always, tell me any suggestions you might have on what I should be doing or how I should be showing things to you or whatever. These are your videos. Tell me what you need. I'm just washing my brushes while I'm saying goodbye. I've got one more brush to go. So I will see you in the next one. I think the next one was part 15 or this one was part 15. We're in part something. There's a profound statement there. We're in part something. And I will see you next time, and take care and have a good day or weekend or wherever you are right now, whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you next time. So look after yourselves, look after everyone else. Get my cursor in the right place so I can click the button. See you soon, guys.